Imagine if you were one of the Jewish people who 3,300 years ago was redeemed from Egypt and was being led through the desert to the land of Israel. You were surrounded by clouds of glory, led by a pillar of fire. The manna was falling down from heaven every single day. You had a well of Miriam that was following you, and you could drink whenever you wanted. Life was so wonderful and beautiful. And what did the Jewish people do at this juncture? They kvetched, they complained, and it was not good in the eyes of God. We find over here in this week's Parsha, the people took seeking complaints. It was evil in the ears of Hashem, and Hashem heard and his wrath flared. What did the Jewish people complain about? The food. The rabble was amongst them, cultivating the craving. And the children of Israel also wept once more, saying, "Who will feed us meat? We remember the fish that we ate in Egypt for free of charge, and the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, onions, and garlic. But now, what's there to eat but the manna?" Something's never changed. From an outsider's point of view, how in the world could the Jews complain? There is an interesting thought that really the Jewish people understood who God is on a very intimate level. So they understood that the Almighty was this infinite being who has no needs, who created all of us for our benefit, not for God's. And therefore they looked around the world and said if there was one thing that was deficient in their world, that meant there was trouble in paradise, so to speak. That meant there was a distance between themselves and the Almighty, and they were bothered by that. And from a Jewish perspective, that's a good thing to be bothered by. If one feels that they are distant from God and you're troubled, that's good that you're troubled a little bit. And then, of course, you have to do something about it. Unfortunately, the tactic that the Jews took to complain was not the right path. So what was the mistake the Jewish people made? The Talmud says that the Jewish people were not living with the concept that everything the Merciful One does is for the good. In other words, if things could be better, they would be better. Not only do we need to appreciate what we get, but we also have to appreciate what the Almighty withholds from us. There are many great people who attribute their accomplishments to the adversity they had to overcome earlier in their youth. As a matter of fact, one time I heard a story of a particular woman who became very jealous and upset when her best friend's husband's business really took off. And she was saying to her own husband, well, you know, why are they getting so blessed? Why are they getting all the money right now? Why aren't we getting anything? Well, one day when the IRS knocked on her friend's door and indicted her husband for tax fraud, Our Lady turned back to her husband and said, you know what, maybe it's a good thing that we did not have that prosperity. After all, we are really not so different from our friends. And really, maybe we would have made the same choices as our friends made. Now, Kabbalistically speaking, we are where our minds are. If a person is thinking about good things, then we are in a happy place. And if we're thinking about bad things, and we're thinking about the negative, then that spurs us to think again about the negative, and again about the negative. Good news, though, in Judaism, we have all sorts of laws and customs that help us refocus our minds so that we can truly appreciate everything we need to appreciate. As a matter of fact, we say 100 blessings every single day. We say blessings in prayer. We say blessings before we eat food, after we eat food, when we get out of the bathroom, all the time. One of the great prayers that I recommend you saying is when we wake up in the morning, you open up to a Siddur right at the beginning, a prayer book, and you say, I gratefully thank you, O living and eternal King, for you have returned my soul within me with compassion. Abundant is your faithfulness. In other words, when we first open up our eyes, we thank God we're alive. And we also recognize that the Almighty believes in us, that we will do great things with our day. So therefore, let's stop complaining. Let's start appreciating. By doing so, we open up a world of goodness for ourselves and those around us. My name is Rabbi Wyne, the Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas.